Governor, why did you choose not to provide that to the Senate? Because I'd really like to see that authorization to invalidate 15 billion or to void 15 billion worth of transactions. I'd really like to see that. Yes, I want to see who has authorized it, who requested and who authorized.
Chair,
in your response, you have said the authority to void transactions has been provided. I'd really like to see that.
Yes, Chair, I can confirm that this was provided to the auditors. I have a letter dated 3rd August 2022 addressed to the Director, IFMIS Department, National Treasury, requesting for voiding rights for officers working within the County Treasury, and 5 of them are listed with their PF numbers, their ID numbers, and email addresses. And the letter was signed by then Acting Head of County Treasury, Mr. Joseph Gadhiaka. So,
and the response? That is a request?
So normally in practice, Chairman, once a letter is written, I've not seen a response back from IFMIS indicating that the rights have been granted. Usually within the stipulated time of 7 days, they issue the rights, and once the officers access the system...
And 7 days would have fallen on the date of election?
They're able to deal.
What was happening on 3rd of August 2022?
On the 8th.
Chair, usually for clearing systems, again, based on experience...
No, what significant activity was happening in the week of the 7 days from 3rd of August? Those 7 days that you expected to get response. What was happening in the country?
There was an election.
Yes.
Yeah, but I cannot fully ascertain the happenings then. But
why would one choose to void 15 billion worth of transactions on election week?
6 days.
Usually, Chair, the National Treasury grants an extension once the financial year comes to a close.
On 30th of June, not in August.
Sometimes, Chair, it runs up to at least a month or two after the financial year.
That's a completely different matter. You are saying authority to void transactions has been provided, but you have described to us a request to void transactions.
Correct.
And that's why I'm saying I'm very curious to see who granted that authority and when it was granted.
And meanwhile,
on 3rd, so I'd like to see when it was granted.
Thank you, Chair. And also, Madam CEO, how I would have wished that you actually gave us the lists of the voided transactions and where the payments were supposed to be, go, and who was subsequently paid after that.
Yeah, Chair, as they do that, I'll want the CEC to explain further. You see, I understand, with the kind of even pending outstanding liabilities that are there, 100B, accountants will put things on internet banking, hoping that they can be paid. At the end of the financial year, everything that is not paid is voided. This financial year, the specific one that we're talking about, there was an extension from July towards the end because of the late exchequer release. So that is what coincided with August. Such that now, if it has not gone through by the end of the financial year, you try again next year as a pending. That's what actually happens in practice. So it's not that 15 billion was actually used to pay something else. I don't think there's a time the county has had 15 billion in its account, at a go. But it's that even now, if you go to internet banking, you'll find a lot of payments that are there, just hoping that a decision is made to pay them. You're talking about outstanding liabilities of close to 107 billion. Many of them are there. And they're just hoping that, with this budget I can get my pending bill paid or whatnot. So it's not that if you void, the money is actually then spent from CRF on something else. Because that, the auditors will be able to show that. And I can say,
Chair, could I ask His Excellency one question? What you're saying is that that's supposed to be a normalcy.
The voiding?
Yes.
It's a procedure.
Yes, thank you. Why is the Auditor General raising that issue?
Because of the quantum.
Hold on. No. He's not talking about the quantum.
But he's here.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. What I'm saying is, like I've said, Governor Sakaja, it's like in Kisi. Why would somebody void 968 payments. What is wrong? In other words, I want them to tell me whether what you are saying, that everything is put on standby, waiting for people for waiting to be paid. Is that the case, AOG?
Members, I do not want us to engage in speculation. What needs to be presented by the county is evidence on the authority to void transactions, which so far has not been proven. But if we put together the coincidence of the dates and what was happening, even if it was year-end processes, National Treasury, do you allow them to go all the way to August?
Well, thank you, Chair. First, Chair, allow me to say, with the request for voiding, that one is proper. And Chair, I've always been saying that payment in the accounting is continuous. And to avoid this issue of delayed exchequer, we usually advise county governments to continue processing up to IB level. So, if at the end of the financial period, then the exchequer has not been released, the only best way to do it is to seek for approval to void. And Chair, on the question you have asked whether we allow, issues of voiding is not standardized. It depends with the needs of a county government. So the county government can request for voiding even in August or even in July. It depends the need that has occasioned the county government to request for such a facility, which we give temporarily and close.
When they make the request, how do you action? Do you respond? Is there a user change request form that is filled? Because that must be part of the controls.
When they make the request and the request is approved, they are able to see it in their screen, the person with that right. I think the reader can...
So why do you make them right when you do not commit anything on your part as National Treasury?
Of course, the letter is marked for action to a certain officer, and once that one is done, a communication is made through the IFMIS. If the person with the rights check the screen, he will be able to see that the rights have been given, and they can print that.
Dr. You are there. I think the Treasury is failing counties. Any change in access rights, ideally in a properly in a proper ICT governance environment, if you're going to change me from an ordinary user to a super user, there's always a change request form. And that happens even in small organizations, perhaps even in the Office of the Auditor General. So if those persons whose names were on that letter, they wanted them to have higher rights than what they already have, ideally there's supposed to be a change management procedure or a change request form. So I think on this matter, let's have a conversation to find out what the Treasury ought to do, the controls that need to be in the system, what the COB needs to do, and then we can have a holistic proposal, but it does not take away the fact that this 15 billion, in terms of voided transactions, is a smoking gun. And we might want to ask people with greater capacity to find out whether those voided transactions it was meant to defeat the Office of the Control of Budget.